Welcome to Zion TV. This is True Life Confession by our great apostle. Please listen and be blessed.
And discernment.
Oh Lord, where do I go from this one now? so because I can keep going, but don't. I want to break it into you. So when you had to get married, what are the things that you looked out for?
Yes. So it's a confession time.
It's a confession. I'm good. I have another one after this one. I have another question after this one.
I noticed that
Yeah.
while growing up, maybe I was that is still part of these things we
It's-
share.
yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
from the movies
Yeah.
we opened to watching as children.
Yeah.
I discovered that I built an image in my heart.
Okay.
What people will call spec.
Yeah.
Probably because when we were growing up, movies we were watching, all the stars would be tall and
Yeah,
fair,
yeah,
elegant.
true, yeah.
So I had this imagery in my heart. My wife would be tall, fair, and
In fact, I
elegant.
wanted to marry a Brazilian lady. So
You see that.
Yeah.
In fact, at a point, I was attracted to Indians.
Okay. Oh yeah. I mean
Tall,
that generation.
fair.
So you're about. Let me guess. You should be in 40s now.
I
Sir.
was born in the 80s.
In it. So you were
see,
listening to all those
we
songs.
followed all of these things, started loving this thing. So when I wanted to get married, that was an idol in my heart.
Hey.
So it took God time to break it.
Hmm.
I have to marry his choice. I have to marry his will. But I couldn't. I struggled for a long time. So eventually, I knew that as touching marriage,
Yeah.
first of all, my emotion has to be reconstructed
Okay.
because I wanted to marry what I liked, not what
Not
God would want
God.
from me.
Hey.
And up until a year or two to the time of marriage, I was still held into this thing. I had that in my mind. And when you are a bit mentally inclined, you have a strong mind, it becomes difficult for these things to happen. Until God helped me, I started listening to messages. And these apostolic messages on the will of God, the will of God, the will of God.
Yeah.
It was after a while that stronghold began to break. And I remember telling God, okay, whatever or whoever you lead me to, whatever the person looks like, if it's your choice, I know you know what's
Holy
good for me.
Spirit played with me on that too. When I said,
I'm
whatever
telling
you pick, whatever, he played on me on that. Because you just show me one girl. What if I say this one and she's limping? Not that there's an issue with people.
Just
who
to
are
test
just to
the
test.
sincerity of your
Yeah,
prayer. But
yeah.
eventually, when you speak to God like that, God will always make something beautiful out of it.
Yes, sir.
And God led me to, I discovered that my desires began to change.
Okay.
Because I began to understand a few things more. That's when God taught me that the principle of relationship is a journey from love or emotions, attractions, to understanding and then to trust.
Run down again so that
From
they will hear it.
love
Love.
to understanding and then to trust.
Okay.
He said you will be attracted to someone, but after a while you get to discover that what will matter to you more is the degree to which the person understands and connects to you.
Yes, sir.
And if you get married to someone and that understanding is not there, even if that person looks like a goddess,
Yeah.
you will discover that
not-
a point will come you might even hate the person.
Yeah, exactly. It's
You
not
will
by
no longer
beauty.
be conscious of the looks. So understanding weighs more on the scales than looks that triggers affection. And then he said the point would even come eventually that you have to become so one with the person that you trust the person's motives. You trust that the person can cover, can stand, and support your ordination. The moment that understanding came to me, the strongholds began to break. And eventually, to the mercy of God, he gave me a beautiful wife, which I thank him for. But I now started changing my priorities. So I
Okay.
looked for a woman who is kingdom oriented.
Okay.
I said, if I want to marry a lady, I'll ask her.
Okay.
If I don't have anything, God can tell me, empty every money you have today.
Oh wow.
I wouldn't need consultation. God can tell me, leave Nigeria today, go to Zimbabwe. I will move. Go to Mozambique. I will move. Will the person be willing to let go of everything any day, anytime?
And then move along.
And move. And then number two, I said, God will have me raise people. I'll need a woman who has the largeness of heart and also the mental power to be able to raise a people who are refined, who fear God, and who can stand as nobles, as kings and princes to address a generation. So for me, intelligence and large-heartedness. So all of these values began to replace. And then I said, my life will come with a lot of battles.
Yeah.
That's the apostolic calling.
Yeah.
I need a woman who has capacity to pray, because many times I won't be able to pray. So if you don't love prayer, if you don't love intercession, this thing might not work. So when I got into dating eventually, I had to test run all of these things. So all these calls, somebody happy birthday, this, sometimes I deliberately skipped it. Is it a big deal to you? If it's not a big deal,
So
I take something.
It's a big deal to them.
I had to check it. I'm telling you, my wife knows.
Even the ones that are just
Most
relative.
of the things that people prioritize, I deliberately began to bring in kingdom.
Yeah,
Sometimes we have to meet, and I just call. Oh, sorry, something came up. I have to travel. You have the
wanna
right
see
to
how
feel
they-
bad.
yeah.
You have the right